Welcome, my friends. Thank you guys for stopping by Galadon Gaming Clash Royale action. And so close, we're talking about these battles that are just incredible. And we've seen some of these on live streams recently, and it's fun to hang out and talk to you guys about these battles. But it's crazy when you're actually involved in one. My favorite replay actually comes at the end of this video. But right here, we've got Karan from Full Attack going up against Mr. Geo of Geo Challenge. And so we'll watch this battle play out. Obviously, Karan, right away you can tell. Prince, double, P.E.K.K.A, you know what I'm talking about. P.E.K.K.A, double Prince. Yes, an attack that we don't see as much of nowadays, and I feel like there's certain counters to this deck that are pretty hard right now. The opponent with the 3 Musketeers, and that's definitely one that I have trouble countering sometimes, especially when they're split like that. I can never seem to have enough elixir to deal with both sets of Musketeers. Now, obviously, Geo went full right lane push with the Barbarians there. That single Musketeer is going to get off a lot of damage by itself, uncountered. Check it out. That is almost about 800 damage off that tower just from a few shots from the Musketeer. So right-hand side is where everything is happening. You've got the opponent elixir pumping right now, and Karan not able to really get anything together yet. But I spoke too soon as the Musketeer gets 3 shots off on that tower once again, tanked or protected by that single guard. Musketeer doing work, and now Karan slightly with the hit point advantage on the more damaged tower between the two players. Elixir collectors popping all over the place, up and down. Karan goes full on elixir, trying to put together another push, and Mr. Geo with the Princess. That's going to be nice work, good value from the poison spell, damaging the Princess, the elixir collector, the tower, and it's going to catch a little bit on that Musketeer as Mr. Geo splits 3 Musketeers one more time. This time, Karan with his own Musketeer. There go the Barbarians once again. There's the Dark Prince because Karan knew the Barbs were coming. And that time, the Dark Prince goes right through those Barbarians and onto the Musketeers. And once again, we see a clear out of not a lot happening, but the single Musketeer on the left lane getting more damage on Karan's tower. It just goes to show you that any single unit, whether it be a Musketeer, Valkyrie, even one Barbarian, can get a lot of damage on a tower if you don't counter it at all. And that is one of the keys to the split 3 Musketeers deck. If you don't counter that single Musketeer, it is going to grind that tower down, and eventually that is where your opponent is going to focus, just like you're seeing right here as the Giant is on its way to the tower. And that tower just almost falls. Barbarian spilling rage everywhere, but nobody to soak it up. And Karan putting together a counter push down that same lane. So forced to defend the left tower, now Karan has tons of units moving down the left lane, even though he was working on the right lane. And sure enough, as time counts down, they work through the Barbarians. They're going to converge on that tower. 1 second left, and they're goes the tower. Karan, right as they get into overtime, pushing down the lane that he didn't intend to until a good counter push made itself available and grabbing the 1-0 win. So sometimes you just have to adjust to what is happening in the game when your opponent is pushing down the opposite lane that you are. You end up switching over. If you've got a bunch of units that are left over that survived a defense like that, it is wise to just go ahead and push and give up on the tower that maybe you had ground down. I think Karan had taken about 1,000 hit points off that right tower, wisely switched, gave it up, and grabbed a quick win when it really wasn't expected down the opposite lane. So now we've got T-Pain working against that player there from CSMU Med, and obviously T-Pain using the Golem. A little bit of an unusual deck. Golem, Goblin Barrel, and Lumberjack deck. I love it. Using the Golem to distract that tower and then throwing the Goblin Barrel in. We talk about this in almost every single episode. The idea of one big tank type card grabbing the attention of units and the tower, and then the little DPS guys moving in, whether it be a Lava Hound and minions, a Miner and Goblins, or like that, you had the Golem and, of course, the Goblin Barrel. So T-Pain not able to use his Lumberjack yet on offense, but we will see if he can get it to work its way in. Nice fireball stops that big group, but then a big group coming down the left lane. Another great splash damage technique, though. You've got those Fire Spirits, I tell you. Fire Spirits are kind of like a fireball that fell onto the ground and rolled around, sort of. Well, it has a similar function, and I am a big fan of the Fire Spirits. I am learning more and more ways to use them. Definitely a big positive elixir trade in a lot of different situations are fire spirits unless your opponent has that quick opportunity to zap them out of existence. Here comes some more fire spirits, and they don't quite do anything to the tower, but they do damage those barbarians. The pair is not going to make it to the tower before they get taken down by the tower's arrows. And there goes the last one right there. Doesn't quite get there. T-Pain wisely not wasting any elixir on that counter, and getting ready with another golem going into double elixir. That is when a golem deck will shine. That expensive drop going to support it with other units, and I'm guessing he's moving in with a goblin barrel again once his units close in on that Inferno tower and, of course, the defending tower. So golem still full size, hasn't really seen any real damage yet. Here comes the lumberjack squeezing his way inside. There is the rage spell, and now the golem and the goblin barrel goblins using the rage spell, a fireball as well. And I love that. I have not seen enraged goblin barrel goblins before. I think that works out really well. T-Pain just about taking that tower down, but not quite getting the job done. 15 seconds left. The opponent trying to put something together. Another barbarian hut goes down, but T-Pain making great progress right here. And it looks like the way this thing is going, it's just going to take one more golem push from the back during overtime to finish off the tower. Now this time, T-Pain wisely places the golem a little further forward, and that soaks up the prince right there. Here comes the goblin barrel on the Inferno tower this time. So you can see the intention here is to get the golem to the tower instead of getting it stalled on the Inferno, and it almost works. The golem falls eventually to the archers and barbs, the barch of his opponent working out, and now that's a big push. That doesn't look good. Barch and a prince and goblins, a massive number of units. The fireball gets great value, but that tower just about to go down. The fire spirits save the day right there. 653 hit points left on that tower, and T-Pain suddenly in a lot of pain as time counts down in overtime. 15 seconds left. Another goblin barrel in the back. The counter is not going to be in time, and T-Pain with 10 seconds left in overtime just barely grabs the 1 crown win. All right, so we're moving on to replay number 3, my favorite of the day I mentioned, and maybe I'm a little bit biased because it was one of my own and it was my troll deck, but this was a fun replay, and this was an interesting battle against 3 Musketeers and Rocket. So an unusual deck and a deck that I definitely despise, and then right off the bat, the Rocket coming on over, hitting the Elixir Collector. So wisely, somebody would think, there you go. You place your Elixir Collector out away from stuff. Now that worked out well if you think about the fact that yes, a mirrored Elixir Collector is expensive, but the guy had just spent 6 Elixir on a Rocket, so it made sense that I could probably get it off right there. The Musketeers though, he didn't send them from the back, he dropped them right in front, so immediately don't ask. I don't know what that was. Seriously, I told you before, the Galatroll deck is not about amazing placement and precise strategy. Yes, that was a defensive goblin barrel on an almost already downed musketeer. Okay, you don't need to go in the comments and tell me how bad I am. I know. I already know. I promise you. I've read the other comments that say how bad I am. All right. So then I use a 5 elixir set of barbarians to counter the single knight. They get logged. Another elixir collector down. At least I remember to drop it in the center this time rather than right up against another one of those 2 badly damaged towers. But here comes the Rocket, and he can't quite, I don't know, it looked like he was trying to get the tower and the elixir collector. Obviously, with that placement, you can't get both, but he does take the elixir collector down, but I'll take it. He spent another big chunk of elixir just on the Rocket. Alright, so I haven't had any progress towards his towers yet at all. Finally, my first try with the Goblin Barrel. Of course, he already knew I had it because I had to use it on defense. Well, maybe I didn't have to use it because I used it on defense. Now, I did get about 800 off that tower, so suddenly things are not so bad. The Princess takes out the rest of those guards, going to work on that Knight this time. Again, the Barbs go down. Now the Barbs and the Princess get logged, and the tower, not good. Hashtag love the log, fine, whatever, but I'm not loving it right now. So I drop another elixir pump, getting ready to try to push something harder here in the final minute of this battle. And again, the 3 Musketeers. This time, though, all together right on the river. Big fast push, the log and support. I drop the Barbs in, and the Barbs, Fire Spirits, and Princess do a great job. We wipe out that 9 elixir, and now I try to do a counter push here. Goblin barrel once again. They're going to get in there. Another goblin barrel. That's right, double goblin barrels. Working out pretty well. Getting that tower down to just under 1,000 hit points. Now I've got double princesses on the river, and they do a great job. Surprisingly, I try to keep them up with a knight in front to protect the princesses, but another log, of course, tower and the princesses. 3 more musketeers protected by a whole bunch of stuff. Again, barbs go down. Again, fire spirits go down. I mirror the fire spirits trying to stop those 3 musketeers, but they're going to fire on the tower anyway. We've gone into overtime, and now my opponent sends the rocket, but there's not enough damage to the tower, and we're going to put this in slow motion as the goblin barrel crosses the screen. Look what this opponent is just about to drop. Yes, it's a log. Here comes the log, takes out the princess and the fire spirits, closing in on my tower. It's rolling there. It's just about to end this battle, and then when you think all is lost, it doesn't make it. The goblins get the job done. Somehow, he placed that log 1 space too far back. I grabbed the victory unbelievably in overtime and could not resist but to give him the thumbs up. So the Gala Troll deck having fun, so many close matches. Let me know if you guys have had one that's even closer. I am still looking for a battle where both towers get down to 1 hit point. I haven't seen that happen yet, but I know it's going to be out there. If it does, let me know. I will come to your clan and visit you and put you in a future video. In the meantime, thank you guys so much, as always, for sticking around all the way to the end of this episode, for subscribing, for liking, for commenting, for being a member of the #GalaFam. I appreciate every last one of you, and I sincerely hope that I will see you all back here again tomorrow for more full attacks. Gallon, why don't I make videos anymore?